Okay, let's get this show on the road. Thank you so much for joining us for the monthly ramp up presented to you by Franchise Ramp. My name is Nick Hansen, head of creative here, and I'm super excited for this inaugural clients only webinar series that will include a mix of in the trenches knowledge and high level strategy, along with a featured interview with a high performing franchisee. Today, we're super excited to have Club Pilates Lakeland owner Zach. You will also receive a marketing update from VP of Operations at Franchise Ramp, Aren Johnstone, and a tactical tools discussion with Kevin Moses, head of paid traffic. At the end of the session, there will be a brief Q&A. Feel free to enter your questions at any point in the Q&A section of the Zoom chat. And thank you so much for being a Franchise Ramp customer. We are starting the monthly ramp up to give you a coherent picture of what's happening at the intersection of marketing and franchising. We want this to be a tight-knit community for franchisees to share knowledge and gain insight. Our mission is to help franchisees realize their entrepreneurial dreams through targeted marketing strategies that maximize success for consumer-oriented franchises. Please come back and join us again next time. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our VP of Operations at Franchise Ramp, Aren Johnstone.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here today. And again, thank you for being Franchise Ramp customers. So my name is Aren Johnstone. I'm the third partner here at Franchise Ramp, and I run the operations department. I can speak for everyone here at Franchise Ramp. We're very excited about this monthly webinar series, the monthly ramp up, where I hope to bring you useful and relevant information from around the online marketing world and the franchise community on a monthly basis. The marketing update is going to be it's going to be at the beginning of each webinar. It's going to be a quick review of what is and is not working around the online marketing world, as well as any Franchise Ramp updates that are going to be relevant to the success and performance of your business. On today's marketing update, we're going to take a look back at a timeline of marketing through COVID. It's been a long 6 months, and we're going to look at what has and has not worked throughout that process. And then we're going to just talk about a few quick Franchise Ramp updates and what we're doing and focusing on here at Franchise Ramp to always increase the ROI of your marketing dollars and increase the performance of your business. So to start with the timeline of marketing through COVID, it's important to remember that no one has ever marketed through a pandemic before. So we're all in this together. We're all trying to figure out what works. And so it really has come down to one thing for us. It's been speed of testing and how quickly can we then implement what works across the board. So Kevin's going to walk through a little bit more detailed look of marketing online during COVID, but I'm just going to walk through a high level review of what has and has not worked over each month. So in March, whenever everything kind of hit, people were scared, they were confused. What really worked was, one, switching to virtual offers if that was possible for your business, continuing to offer a service to people. People wanted to continue their daily routines, whether it was working out or salons, anything that you could do virtually, people wanted to participate. Addressing the situation head on was very crucial. So it did not address the pandemic. If you didn't have any language around the situation, you just did not resonate with the folks in your community. So what did not work was basically ignoring COVID or keeping your active campaigns, the campaigns that were running pre-COVID. Then in May and June at Franchise Ramp, a big focus of ours was kind of the grand reopening campaign. So for any studios that were everyone closed, as they were reopening, really trying to create awareness and create excitement in your marketplace about opening soon, letting the prospects in your area know that your studio would in fact be open, and then notifying them when you were open. So that those now open and opening soon campaigns worked really well. And there was a short period in middle to late May where traditional copy actually worked really well. So not talking about COVID, using language from pre-COVID, group photos, everyone was basically hoping that things were going to return to normal. And so just running like things were normal worked really well. What did not work in May and June, we saw a very sharp decline in all virtual offers. I think there's a couple reasons for this. Number one, the virtual offer space, especially in fitness, expanded so quick, basically like no industry before. And then you have extreme consolidation. So users started going to the major platforms like Peloton or some of the ones with large repositories of online offerings. And then also, I think people wanted to return to their to the actual gym or to their studio. They wanted to really go back to the way things were. And so I know for a fact I got tired of working out at home, and virtual offers really saw a sharp decline. And then in July and August, as cases started to spike, as certain states started to reclose, only thing that really works is COVID-specific copy. So addressing the safety precautions that either your gym or salon are taking, highlighting creative that really reflects the current time period. So are your creatives and photos, are people wearing masks? Are they socially distanced? What does not work is ignoring COVID anymore. So prior to COVID, group photos always worked really, really well. They do not work nearly as well as they did. It is entirely a new landscape. And if you ignore it, it just does not resonate with the individuals in your community and the prospects for your business. So Kevin's going to go in a little bit more detail in marketing online during COVID, but real quick, a few franchise ramp updates. So throughout COVID, like I said, the speed of testing and implementation has been our #1 priority. As we discover things are working, we have to be able to immediately implement those and adjust people's campaigns to reflect the new state. So during COVID at Franchise Ramp, we've really doubled down on our mission of helping franchisees. Brian and Peter, the other two owners at Franchise Ramp, own Club Pilates studios in California and Arizona. So they've closed, reopened, and reclosed. We really are right there with you along this journey. And to make sure that we are always improving our response times, our account management performance, we've hired 3 new success people, a director of customer success and 2 franchisee success managers to always have a better relationship with our clients and understand what's going on in their business and their market. We've hired 2 new account managers to adapt to the increasing demand of new campaigns, changing offers, closing, reopening communities. And then a really interesting statistic is that we are on track to hit 10,000 campaigns published this year in 2020. That's an average of 20 to 30 ads per campaign. So we're on track to hit probably 200 to 300,000 ads this year. And that's double what we were on track to hit before COVID. And a lot of that is just because if you close and reopen, or you have now opening or opening soon campaigns, or week to week running mass photos might not work or might have worked last week, but we have to change it this week. So we're constantly trying to improve our team to meet the demands of the ever-changing landscape. And then also a full service creative department run by Nick, where we're really focused on meeting that ever-changing need and needs of whatever your community you're in. So if it's mass photos, can we produce those quickly and resonate with the individuals in your market? And then also at Franchise Ramp, we truly believe in omnipresence marketing. So not being dependent on a single platform. So if you're only running Facebook ads and that's all you plan to do for the next year to 2 years, you're going to be single platform dependent. Facebook is changing more than it ever has. It's way different than it was even 6 months ago. And the fact of the matter is that not all of your prospects are on Facebook. So at Franchise Ramp, we're working on rolling out and testing new platforms and services to constantly increase the ROI of your marketing dollars and reach new prospects wherever they might be. So thank you. That's it for this month's marketing update. We're looking forward to more to come.
All righty. Thank you so much, Aaron, for that high-level look. Please message us in the chat if you have any questions for the Q&A that we'll do at the end. And now I would like to introduce Kevin Moses, Head of Paid Traffic at Franchise Ramp.
Thanks, Nick. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Kevin Moses, and I'm the Head of Paid Traffic here at Franchise Ramp. Over the last 5 months during the pandemic, I had the pleasure to be in charge of the management and strategy of over $2 million in ad spend spread across 20 different brands. During that time, I was able to witness the entire marketing universe make a huge shift in several pivots. Some of those pivots worked out great, as Aaron discussed, and some of those not so great. I felt it would be an extreme disservice to business owners that are trying to survive during this trying times to not share this valuable information. So I compiled all of my knowledge that I learned over the past 5 months and put it into an ebook titled Marketing Online Post-COVID. And today we'll discuss 5 topics out of the book that would allow you to gain great value from this webinar. So those 5 topics are tough times don't last, tough businesses do. Adjusting your marketing strategies, offering payment plans, avoiding toxic positivity, and doubling down on content creation. But before we start, there are 3 things to keep in mind before we get started. So my book was written on general marketing and not specific to just franchising. Some topics may not be applicable to your business, and just having an open mind to different views on different things. So we can jump right in. So the first topic, tough businesses don't last, or I'm sorry, tough times don't last, tough businesses do. Where the world would see pandemic, entrepreneurs should see an opportunity. In my mind, if you have the courage to become an entrepreneur, then you're built differently than the everyday ordinary person. And since you're built differently, you must think differently. When the times get tough, you have to open different parts of your brain in order to keep pushing forward. One of my favorite quotes when it comes to this topic is, in order to become the 1%, you have to do what the other 99% won't. This brings up one of my favorite entrepreneurial stories from Conrad Hilton. During a similar pandemic in 1919, the Spanish flu pandemic, Conrad Hilton turned a glorified boarding house into a hotel empire when he purchased his first hotel in Cisco, Texas, insisting on fresh soaps and linens for each new guest. This was a shrewd response to a rapidly changing traveler preference. As other businesses were crashing, he began to thrive. So what this means for you is you must adapt to the current stage of the world. No matter what's happening in the world, you have to be able to change your business to fit into what's currently working. Be prepared for disasters and have a plan B, C, and D. You also have to think differently. If you think like everyone else, chances are you won't be a successful business owner. You have to accept that you think differently and create different ways from the norm to succeed. In turning lemons into lemonade. Everyone has heard this statement before, and I'm pretty sure you know what it means. You just have to look at the bright side of things and always find a way to turn a negative into a positive. So the next topic, which goes right hand in hand with that, is adjusting your marketing strategies. So understanding your consumers and potential leads is one thing, while adjusting your marketing tactics is another. A new normal should be met with new marketing strategies. So a major key in marketing online post the pandemic is understanding that the marketing funnel is completely different than it was pre-COVID. The pandemic had a huge impact on the average consumer's available spending budgets, and the marketing strategies that you drafted before COVID-19 crisis happened may not be as effective anymore. Before, the typical marketing funnel looked like the diagram pictured on this slide. Nice and simple, 3 steps to it. Now that COVID has hit, there are several steps that have been added to make the funnel a bit larger. In between awareness and engagement, you now have to show compassion to what's going on so that consumers know that you are aware of the pandemic that's happening in front of us. After the engagement stages, you now have to show the client the safety measures you're taking in your studio or your business to keep them safe. Believe it or not, a client can be very interested in your business, but if they don't see your COVID protocols, they most likely won't convert. Everyone wants to feel safe, and you can easily do that by bringing your safety protocols to the forefront. So what this means to you, again, adjusting to the new marketing funnel and not doing things as business as normal, understanding who your market is. You have to know if you're marketing to a younger demographic, an older demographic, liberal, conservative, mask or no mask. You really have to get in tune with your audience. Another huge thing that I saw clients making a huge mistake was turning off their marketing budgets. So instead of turning off your marketing budgets, you need to reallocate your budget. Redistribute the funds allocated for business trips, face-to-face events, trade shows, and sponsorships. Focus more on content creation for your online platforms. Changing strategies is challenging, but you have to embrace change because you won't move forward if you don't. You can't wait for the pandemic to be over for you to start making changes because you'll be left behind if you do. The next topic is offering payment plans, if you can. Many people are earning considerably less than they were earning before the COVID-19 happened. Payment plans should boost the monthly conversion of your product and ensure that you have a monthly source of income. A great way to show solidarity while ensuring that your business stays afloat is to offer payment plans during the pandemic. Payment plans can free up monthly expenses of people and help them in organizing their respective monthly budgets. This frees your customers from heavy lump sum financial obligations and transforms the expenses into a manageable long-term setting. What this means for you is you have to make more creative pathways to conversion. Lots of brands did things like $1 down, 50% off, which did really well. If it's possible to do so in your business, I would highly recommend doing it. Empathize with your clients. By offering payment plans, you are showing your clients that you actually care and you want them to live life as normal like they did before COVID. Helping clients during this time creates brand loyalty. So by helping your clients during the tough times, by splitting their payments, you create brand loyalty and they're more likely to stick even after the pandemic is over. The next topic, which is my favorite topic, is avoiding toxic positivity. So there's a very thin line between trying to inspire your audience and what is called toxic positivity. Your positivity should also include a space for other emotions. Toxic positivity is when you completely ignore a bad situation and act like it isn't there. Being over positive and not acknowledging a trying situation can be detrimental to your business. As a business owner, you would like your brand to send positivity to everyone, from your customers to your potential leads, but some messages could come across as insensitive. Be very careful when creating postings, even when they focus on positivity. So I can admit I was actually a victim to toxic positivity. I thought the whole pandemic thing was a hoax and it wasn't real when it first came out. I would post things about it not being real and for people to keep living life as normal until I actually lost an uncle to it. My uncle was perfectly healthy. He was actually painting a house one day and the homeowner's mother was diagnosed with COVID. He caught it from there and had one of the worst cases ever. From that moment on, I believed it. And all the different posters I started to see, like the posts that I would post, would just make me uncomfortable and would put me at unease. So what this means for you is to recognize that there is an issue at hand and acknowledge that you know what's going on and that you care and that you're taking steps to fight the issue. Don't be insensitive to what's happening in the world. Everybody is taking the pandemic differently. Some people have lost family members or friends. Some people have not been affected at all. So ensure you're not being insensitive. Let your audience know that you care. The kind of positivity that they need is encouraging and not dismissive. Let your brand reflect that kind of positivity, grounded and compassionate. And the last topic is one of the most important topics, actually, doubling down on content creation. So while promotional content surely attracts potential leads, organic content is just as important. Make sure that people will relate to your content and you are asking engaging questions. Organic content allows brands to show some personality while reaching out to leads and prospects seeking inspiration, entertainment, educational, and informative content. So what this means for you is to take your organic posting as seriously as your paid ads. Maintaining a strong paid social media presence is great, but you also have to think of ways to up your organic social media game and increase effectiveness and reach of posts. Non-promotional content drives the brand's audience growth, which in theory helps the paid side as well. Ask good questions in your posts that urges customers to reply. Ask questions that your consumer will reply to. The more they engage with your business, the better chance of conversion you have. Keep your timeline active with new content. Content marketing is an effective way to connect with people in times of crisis. Strong content can drive digital crowds and creates a connection that should stay even after the trying times have passed. So those are all excerpts from my ebook that's available for $4.99. Anybody that's on this webinar, I'm giving it away for free. So we'll include that information after the webinar. Thank you guys for listening.
Kevin, thank you so much for that look at the intersection of COVID and marketing. Where can we find that book? Are you going to email it to the?
Yes, it's kevinthemarketingguy.com. You can find
okay.
it right on there, kevinthemarketingguy.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I am excited to introduce Beth Boley, our franchisee success manager at Franchise Ramp. And just a quick reminder that if you have any questions, please share them in the chat function. Beth, take it away.
Hi, thank you, Nick. I have on the call with us today, Zach. Zach is a real estate investor entrepreneur who raises investor capital, flips houses, manages properties, and brokers single-family real estate deals. Zach is a relatively new multi-unit owner in the franchise space. He recently opened his second Club Pilates location in Florida. Zach, thanks so much for joining us today on the call.
Beth, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Let's get started. So I would love to hear more about how you got your start in franchising. Can you tell us how long you've been in franchising and what was your journey to get started?
Yeah, Beth, absolutely. It's only been a couple of years. As you mentioned, I've been a real estate investor, kind of a one-man show for a long time. I've never had any employees. I've never ran payroll for, a big team. No formal office space or, brick and mortar location. So all of this was pretty new to me. Opened up the first Club Pilates 2 years ago. It's been a very successful ride. I've been very happy, but, I think I had a lot of concerns initially about having an operation with a lot of employees. I've had friends of mine who have, done very well and scaled their businesses and bought back a lot of their time. And so I think internally, Beth, I was always kind of receptive to the idea, but I think I was always lacking the right concept or the right brand to kind of get my feet wet and get going. So, but I think some of my, my personal goals were to kind of go from being on that island, if you will. It can be very isolating when you're running your own show. You don't have a team. So I think being a part of a team and building one was really exciting to me. And then of course, just, hopefully building a business that can have a, diversification in what we do, some additional passive streams of income. And yeah, so I think that's kind of how I got my start, which is some of those goals. And then Club Pilates came along.
And why did you decide on Club Pilates?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd love to say that I scoured the market and, researched 200 different businesses, and I had, some great technique or even I knew the data to look for. I didn't. A friend of mine, Sean, came to me and he asked me if I knew anything about Pilates. And I really didn't know much about it, but my wife was a Pilates nut. She loved it. Every time she'd bring her friend to Pilates classes, they would rave about it. So kind of in the back of my mind, I knew it was a great model. So anyway, we flew out to California, checked out the brand, got our questions answered. It was a very professional approach, super impressive group of people. And, we came back and even amidst all that, weren't totally convinced, but I was lucky enough to meet, as you mentioned, Brian Holmes, David Shook, a couple of guys that were just really open books in the franchisee validation network. And these guys told me everything about how they were doing, where it might be challenges, which at that time there weren't many. They just said, this is easy. You should do this. Kind of like you're a bonehead if you don't. And so after a lot of that encouragement, we decided to pull the trigger. And like I said, it's been very successful, but I think I would encourage any franchisee that's considering getting going to make sure that they do their piece of due diligence in the franchisee validation. There's a lot of really great franchisees out there, I'm sure, in all the different brands that can share their personal experiences. I think the corporate approach is great and they've got a lot of good things to say, but the franchisees, of course, can really give you, I think, the kind of practical insights that can help you decide if it is the right thing to do for you. And of course, some best practices if you do decide to move forward.
I love that. That's great advice. Tell us a little bit about your most recent opening at Lakeland and what you think your biggest contributors were to that success.
Yeah, we were getting ready to start our pre-sale campaign in mid-February, and we were off to a great start. I think we sold about 100 memberships, a little over 100 memberships in 4 weeks, which was amazing. And then the pandemic came and you immediately began getting fearful and thinking, what have we done? It was a very scary time, a lot of unknowns. So I remember really questioning, had we made the right decision to open Lakeland? Lakeland was a smaller market, which I initially had some concerns about, but it is my hometown. So I was excited to kind of push through and get through it. So basically, and obviously you guys were our marketing vendor, Beth, but we ran our program for a month. We were forced to close it for 2 months. And then we came back and got going again, I think in late May when the governor allowed us to reopen. And it was interesting. We caught fire immediately. in the same way that we had momentum going in the first 4 weeks, it's almost as if nothing happened. I mean, we might have lost 8 or 10 members due to COVID, whether they froze or they canceled. But for the most part, there was a lot of receptivity to our brand. I think some of that is there's not a lot of competition here in Lakeland. It is a smaller town, but I think we acknowledged and gave credit to the virus and what it is and what it can do and the safety protocols, but we kind of tried to keep the main thing the main thing. You know, we're very good at having that Pilates conversation and explaining who we are, how we benefit our members, and we kind of made that the main thing. But as far as probably I think the biggest things that we did that helped us be successful, I think you guys did a wonderful job. I think we generated 1,200 leads in just over 8 weeks. So, you know, social media marketing tends to be, I'm sure, the top and by a wide margin of a lead generation source. So we had to have leads to work with, and you guys did a great job at even making some tweaks in how our people book into their classes, and that helped us out tremendously. So that was a good start. 2 years ago, I did one of the things, and me being inexperienced, I did know that it was a sales driven organization. We would have to sell memberships. I knew the brand was good, but I did know from my own experience and going in and trying a class at another studio, it's not good enough to overcome mediocrity and kind of a passe, this brand will sell itself approach. So I hired a really good general manager who had a pretty extensive background in sales and in boutique fitness. And I think that's helped out tremendously. He's a sales beast. He's constantly selling, whether it's on the phone, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's upgrading memberships, whether it's selling people that their problems are not that big of a deal and that we can move on and work together. He's fantastic. And I think that's been a big help. Another thing that I did, and you know, you kind of start out as a franchisee under the belief that, you know, your team's going to run your business and you can have great quality of life. And that's absolutely been true with my first location. But with the pandemic happening at the time we were opening our second, created a bit of a problem because we had to divert a lot of our team that we thought would be in Lakeland to Valrico to kind of resurrect that business that had been hurt so bad being closed for 2 months. So my general manager was a lot less available than what him and I wanted. And Franchise Ramp created a great problem. We had so many leads coming in, we couldn't even keep up. In the 3 months that we did this, I think we were very successful, but we never actually really caught up. We weren't calling people back within a day or even 2 days. We just didn't have the manpower. So I kind of came out of retirement, if you will, and I picked up the phone. I got very involved. And I find there's a lot of benefits in doing that. You know, if you're going to train a sales team, it's really good that you have your hand on the pulse, that you know your process, you know the messaging. And for me, it actually helps me to get involved and do those things. So between getting on the phone and selling memberships, responding to emails, all the things that certainly as a franchisee, I'm not proud to admit that I spent as much time as I did, but looking at the results that we had, you know, I think the grand opening, you mentioned the soft open record that we broke, the grand open record for memberships is 408. And our grand open is this weekend, and we're currently at 455. We basically have hit kind of studio capacity. Any more members than what we currently have will probably put a lot of strain on our schedule. So, you know, I did invest a lot of time, and at times when I was doing it, I was very frustrated about that. But I think I could see the light at the end of the tunnel that we were succeeding, and it worked really well. So I would encourage any franchisees out there that find themselves spending time in the business, just, you know, don't become part of the business in that way, but be purposeful as far as what you're doing. Fill in the gaps that are necessary, learn what you need to learn, and begin educating your team on the things that you just learned so that obviously you don't have to keep doing those things.
That's awesome. That's really good advice too. Do you have any other additional great advice that you would like to give franchisees that are just starting out?
Yeah, I think if your business is similar to ours in that it's very sales driven, make sure that you're looking for the right people, salespeople. You know, there's kind of I think it's a big misnomer, and I've heard it in Club Pilates before, where you need to find a really good salesperson to get you open, and then you need to find an operations person to run your business. But the truth is, we all have in fitness, we have retention and we're an attrition. We're losing, you know, 6 to 7, maybe even 10% of our members on a monthly basis, no matter how good of a job we do. So we need an ongoing, consistent sales approach, not just in pre-sale or the time to grand opening, but in what we call sustainable studio mode. So you need a good salesperson, you need a good sales team, and don't be afraid to pay for those people and pay them well. I think there's plenty of things in business to, don't go spend too much money on wipes or other essential things in your studio. But when it comes to your people and your team, I think the extent to which we as franchisees can have good quality of life is the extent that we hire good quality people and hopefully salespeople, especially if your organization thrives on sales. I would say another thing is to make sure that you have a big picture view in customer service. My GM and I for 2 years are always having an ongoing conversation about how we can make people happy and how to see small things really for what they are. They're small things. So, if somebody gets into a 3-month agreement with us, and yeah, that's a legal contract. And I mean, sure, we could press them on that. But if after a month or two, someone's just not happy and our fitness studio doesn't work, let's work it out with them. Let's do something friendly. If we need to let them out of the agreement, no big deal. Nobody likes to be bound to an agreement long-term that's not fulfilling their needs. So to me, to give away $89 or even $150 to make a member happy, those are people that are going to go out into the community and spread the word about their experience, good or bad. And so I've always told my general manager, like, you have definitely failed if it comes back to me and people are saying, listen, all I was asking for is a $15 credit or a $50 credit on my account. I've empowered my team. Be smart. Think big picture. This is a long-term vision. We're in this for the long haul. Let's treat people well. Let's create a wow experience. And we know they'll tell their friends and they'll keep coming back.
That's great. Thank you so much, Zach. You've shared a ton of great information with us today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be on the webinar with us.
My pleasure, Beth. Thank you.
Yes, awesome work. So nice to hear those practical insights. We're now going to open up the Q&A. So please share any last-minute questions if you have any. And we will send an email to attendees with how to get Kevin's ebook for free. And we are also recording this call and we'll email it out. Okay, we have a question for Aren. Aren, would you recommend increasing or decreasing ad spend in a area where the studio is open again?
I'd have to guess by rule of thumb, I would say if the studio is open again, I would recommend increasing your ad spend. Without knowing what spend you're currently at, it's hard to know exactly, but I would recommend increasing your ad spend, notifying people in the community that you are in fact open and the services that you're offering.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome.
Feel free to, for that question, feel free to reach out to me directly if you want. I'm happy to answer more specifics about your individual market as well. So you can just reach me at aren@franchiseramp.com if you have any questions.
Okay, question for Zach. Are you going to open a third location, Zach?
That's a great question. We're open-minded to that. I'm a little bit cautious and risk-averse as I kind of look at everything, but at the same time, we're also seeing a lot of potential resale opportunities. So I think the biggest thing for me is to figure out how to scale our team and grow in that way where it doesn't end up taking too much of the time that I don't already have, but we remain open to that.
Awesome. Okay, those are all the questions we have. Going once, going twice here. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. We already can't wait to see you the next time, and we look forward to working with you to achieve your entrepreneurial dreams. Thank you.